as a miracle man to these areas of the world. Well, when you reach 75 years of age, this generation in America wants millennials to come and talk to them. They have an attitude of millennial context, and therefore I knew I was going to have a hard time moving around enough places in America, but I'm very well known in Asia. So I told Linda, I'm going to spend 11 months, I'm going to get rid of all of our finances, financial situation. I'm going to pay off everything that I've pledged to build churches, to drill water wells, feeding programs. I have over almost 2,000 children in our children's home that I've supported for 25, 30 years. I have a handicap center. I have a senior citizens home. I have 500 women in the HIV center along with their children. Their husbands infected them with AIDS. They are dying. We have burials all the time. We do have miracles that happen, but a large part of them we have to care for their children after the mothers die, and then we have to find jobs for their children. And so we've opened computer businesses. We've opened a bakery. We've opened a print shop. And so we give these kids jobs whenever their mother dies and they reach 17 years of age from our children's home. They have to leave and get out into the working world. And all of those, I've had the heavy responsibilities of the churches upon my shoulders, pioneer work and ministries, and Asia knows me very well. So I went to spend that 11 months. And God was gracious. In the 11 months, almost immediately in the midst of all that, I raised $40,000 and paid off the commitments that I had. But I had the remaining amount that was upon my shoulders. And I can tell you the truth, friends, because I've had the cure. I'm a miracle man to believe that God will open those doors and help me reach the $70,000. So when I came home, I still didn't have all of the rest of the money. I raised $40,000. I still had the remainder. And when I came back here, I found the Teen Challenge Center that I started in 1968. My daughter was born there. She's 50 years of age now. She's a pastor of a church of 1,000 in Sugar Land, Texas. And my wife and I began that ministry in 68, and when I got back here to the United States in February, they called me and said, Pastor Irvin, we're having the 50th anniversary of the Teen Challenge you started in San Antonio. Would you come down, and we want to present you with a pioneer plaque and appreciation. And that Sunday morning, there were 70 of the former addicts I had led to the Lord. One was Benny CTO. Benny was a cocaine addict, had spent 7 years in prison. When he got out of prison, he didn't know what to do. He said, I'm a felon. Nobody's going to give me a job. I said, Benny, what do you like doing more than anything else? He said, take a look at me, Pastor Irvin. I like eating. And Benny was true. He's a big guy. And I said, well, Benny, why don't you become a chef and learn to cook all that good food? Today, Benny has 40 restaurants, and every one of the drug addicts he hires nothing but former drug addicts and nothing but former prisoners for them. He's a multi-millionaire today because of God's grace. And all of those that stood on that platform gave their stories or sang a song. And when it was over, I said to them as I preached, I'm coming back from my senior years, and I'm using my training center in Reynosa, Mexico, to train Hispanics to go to the world of Islam. And I said, I'm lacking $20,000 on that bill. And that Sunday morning, all of those drug addicts, former drug addicts, business people, took up $20,000 offering and gave $20,000. Not only that, one day later, when Linda and I came back home to Shreveport, a young man that I had mentored when he was just a teenager, he called me and he said, Pastor Irvin, I'm sending you another $20,000. Hallelujah! All together, $80,000 for the glory of God. Why? Because when we've experienced the cure, we are miracle men. We do not doubt. We're not afraid. We can face anything. Whether it's a war in Vietnam, whether it's $80,000, God can cause it to happen. He's no respecter of persons. He doesn't just do it for me because I'm a missionary. He does it for you because you found the cure. He does it for you because you too are a miracle man. And you declare miracles come through Jesus Christ. Listen to this story. In 1904, William Borden graduated from a Chicago high school. As heir to the Borden Milk Company family fortune, he was already wealthy. For his high school graduation present, his parents gave 16-year-old Borden a trip around the world. As the young man traveled through Asia, the Middle East, and Europe, he felt a growing burden for the world's hurting people. Finally, Bill Borden wrote home about his desire to be a missionary. One friend expressed disbelief that you're throwing yourself away as a missionary. A story often associated with Borden says that in response, he wrote 2 words in the back of his Bible: no reserves. Even though young Borden was wealthy, he arrived on the campus of Yale University in 1905 trying to look like one more freshman. Very quickly, however, Borden's classmates noticed something unusual about him. And it wasn't that he had lots of money. One of them wrote, he came to college far ahead spiritually of any of us. He had already given his heart in full surrender to Christ and had really done it. We were his classmates, learned to lean on him and find in him a strength that was solid as a rock, just because of his settled purpose and consecration to Christ. During his college years, Bill Borden made an entry in his personal journal that defined what his classmates were seeing in him. The entry said simply, say no to self and yes to Jesus every time. Borden's first disappointment at Yale came when the university president spoke in a convocation about the students having the need of a fixed purpose. After that speech, Borden wrote, he neglected to tell us what our purpose should be and where we should get the ability to persevere and the strength to resist temptations. Surveying the Yale faculty and much of the liberal student body, Borden lamented what he saw as the end result of an empty humanistic philosophy, moral weaknesses in the teachers, and sin ruined lives. During his first semester at Yale, Borden started something that would transform campus life. One of his friends described how it began. It was well on in the first term where Bill and I began to pray together in the morning before breakfast. I cannot say positively whose suggestion it was, but I feel sure it must have originated with Bill. We had been meeting only a short time when a third student joined us, and soon after a fourth. The time was spent in prayer. After a brief reading of Scripture, Bill's handling of Scripture was helpful. He would read to us from the Bible, show us something that God had promised and had revealed to him, then proceed to claim the promise with assurance. Borden's small morning prayer group gave birth to a movement that soon spread across the campus. By the end of his first year, 150 freshmen were meeting weekly for Bible study and prayer. By the time Bill Borden was a senior, 1,000 of Yale's 1,300 students were meeting in such groups. Borden made it his habit to seek out the most incorrigible students and try to bring them to salvation. In his sophomore year, we organized Bible study groups and divided up the class of 300 or more, each man interested in taking a certain number of those 300 who were still lost, so that all might, if somehow, be reached. The names were gone over one by one, and a question asked, who will take this man? When it came to someone thought to be a hard proposition, there would be an ominous pause. Nobody wanted the responsibility. Then Bill's voice would be heard, put him down to me. I'll reach him. Borden's outreach ministry was not confined to the Yale campus. He cared about widows and orphans and the disabled. He rescued drunks from the streets of New Haven. To try to rehabilitate them, he found the Yale Hope Mission. One of Bill Borden's friends wrote that he might often be found in the lower parts of the city at night, on the street, in a cheap lodging house or some restaurant to which he had taken a hungry fellow to feed him, seeking to lead him to Christ. Borden's missionary call narrowed to the Muslim Kansu people in China. Once he fixed his eyes on that goal, Borden never wavered. He also challenged his classmates to consider missionary service. One of them said of him, "He certainly was one of the strongest characters I have ever known, and he put backbone into the rest of us at college. There was real iron in him, and I always felt that he was of the stuff martyrs were made of and heroic missionaries of modern times." Although he was a millionaire, Bill seemed to realize always that he must be about his father's business and not wasting time in the pursuit of amusement. Although Borden refused to join the fraternity, he did more with his classmates in his senior year than ever before. He presided over the huge student missionary conference held at Yale and served as president of the Honorary Society. Upon graduation from Yale, Borden turned down high-paying job offers. It has been recorded that in his Bible, he wrote 2 more words: no retreats. William Borden went on to do his graduate work at Princeton University in New Jersey. When he finished his studies at Princeton, he sailed for China. Because he was hoping to work with Muslims, he stopped first in Egypt to study Arabic. While there, he contracted spinal meningitis. Within a month, 25-year-old William Borden was dead. When the news of William Whiting Borden's death was cabled back to the U.S., the story was carried by nearly every American newspaper. A wave of sorrow went around the world. Borden not only gave away his wealth, but himself, in a way so joyous and natural that it seemed a privilege rather than a sacrifice. Was Borden's untimely death a waste? Not in God's perspective. As the story has it, prior to his death, Borden had written 2 more words in the back of his Bible. Underneath the words, no reserves and no retreats, he is reported to have written, no regrets. The missing man, the walking man, and the miracle man. Revelation chapter 5, verse 2 to 5, from the Message Bible. Finally, the master man of the universe says, I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, who is worthy to open the book and to loosen the seals thereof. And no man in heaven or on earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look thereon. And I wept much, because no man was found worthy to open and read the book, neither to look upon it. And one of the elders said to me, weep no more, because the cure, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has prevailed to open the book and to loose the seals thereof. Are you that miracle man like William Borden? That even though you have many good things going for you, you didn't have to become a pastor. You didn't have to become a part of the men's discipleship program in the cure. But the miracle of salvation has changed your thinking so much so that you say, I'll follow him even unto death. I'll follow him no matter what the price is that I have to pay. I have no regrets. I have no retreat. I will finish as a miracle man. And you have yielded yourself to the miracle of Jesus Christ. And one day, the books will be opened. And there will be a list of those who are a part of the cure. And your name will be listed there. And it will not say missing man or walking man. It will say miracle man. Amen. Because he believes in the cure. He accepted the cure. And he did it by the cure of that one drop of blood. The healing power of Jesus Christ. I'm leaving something behind for you as I call you in a few moments to this altar. I'm leaving behind with Pastor Kelly a portion of my new book that I've been working on for some time, entitled Timothy, the First Millennium. Words of encouragement and admonition to the millennial generation. And I'm leaving a CD behind for you that Pastor will reproduce on a thumb drive and get to all of you, that is entitled A Disciple Named Timothy. A disciple, it is a message for pioneers. It is a message for those that are young in leadership, starting out and looking for mentors to help them grow their faith, grow their calling, and fulfill their destiny in God. All of us in this room have been called to be disciples. It's not a matter that we were called to be preachers or teachers or apostles or prophets. We were first called to be disciples.
Amen.
Go into all the world. Disciple every man and every nation. That's who we are. We're not big shots. In fact, we have shot the old man. He's dead. We have the cure found as a disciple. I am first of all a disciple of Jesus Christ. The humility that the Apostle Paul demonstrated in Acts chapter 20, verse 17 onward to the very end of that chapter, when he met with the elders at Miletus, and he said, you know the manner of life I've lived before you the whole time that I've been in Asia, that I serve the Lord with great humility and tears. And friends, disciples live by great humility. I'm a disciple. I found the cure. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. I want you to come and stand with me at the altar. Somebody pick